Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty, and doing a review today of a movie tie-in. And I've got to be honest, those kind of things do fill me with joy. I know it might be like a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking down on it because it's tying into another medium rather than it being an original work of art, maybe. But the times I've read them, it takes something special to kind of go a bit above and beyond. I'm thinking back like the early Big Trouble in Little China comic books when it was Carpenter involved in the writing and he totally got the voice of Jack Burton down perfectly. Maybe a few of the Aliens and Predator comic books do okay, but I don't, even stuff I'm a big fan of, I don't read the comic books for, simply because I feel like when you transfer from one medium to another, you could end up losing something which makes it why you liked it in the first place. Now, I really liked the last Wonder Woman movie. Yes, it had some issues with some terrible CGI at the end, but it had some brilliant swell moments and some great action sequences, and it's also just a hell of a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to the sequel, especially after reading the Wonder Woman Dead Earth by Daniel Warren Johnson, which has been an absolute revelation. First time I've read a Wonder Woman comic in a while where I've actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. And because I had Cheetah in, and the movie's got Cheetah in, I'm like, yeah, okay, this could be great. So they did I think one shot, I'd like to say one shot, for Wonder Woman 84, called Museum Mayhem. And I've got to say, straight off the bat, I was feeling a little bit like this is probably not going to be something I want. And I'll show you why. The artwork, unfortunately. That is just, while being perfectly capable and definitely better than I could do, it totally fails to move me. It just looks like a drawing of people done by somebody who's been paid to draw people. It doesn't feel like there's anything else going on there. And unfortunately, even the action sequences, that kind of carries on. It feels lackluster. It feels a little bit... It feels like somebody didn't put their entire effort into it. Now, that didn't spoil it for me all the way through, because quite quickly I realized that this is not a movie for hardcore comic book fans. And if they can kind of make it more simplistic, including like really simple page layouts, then their target audience might be better equipped to get into it. And that's not a bad thing. There's been some people talking recently about like how to get people into comic books. And one of the things they talk about is like, doing away with comic book stores, the buggers, because what you need is fresh blood coming in. And we get asked this constantly of grown men and women who've got children, or just relatives of children. They want to get them into reading, and comic books seem to be a way into it. And it's a real struggle to find stuff which is aimed at kids. Don't get me wrong, pretty much anything that Marvel and DC put out, I can put in the hand of a 10-year-old, and they're not going to have anything that's inappropriate, but they're dense and unwieldy and generally rely on a whole bunch of backstory. When you do a one-shot tied into a movie which is aimed at a more of a young adult reader, and you don't need to know anything at all other than the fact that Wonder Woman's a character and she's been in a movie in the past, then it's perfectly acceptable just to have it as something you can pick up and read and enjoy simply for what it is. So that's what I did. I changed my viewpoint on it. I stopped thinking of it as like, let's read the latest Wonder Woman after reading Daniel Warren Johnson's amazing epic. Let's just read this and see what it is, just purely on its own. And on its own, it's great. It has the kind of messages I like about Wonder Woman. The fact that, yes, she's a warrior princess, but she's sent out for peace, and fighting should be a last resort. Like her most powerful thing is the lasso of truth. And yes, she can deflect bullets and stuff. She's also a great fighter, and that comes into it, and it's kind of hard to ignore it. She is an Amazonian warrior princess, and that's great. But when you're dealing with younger children, having this idea that resorting to violence is not a good thing, that's a great bloody lesson to learn. And it's also, as a lot of people pointed out, any story involving Wonder Woman is a story of immigrant acceptance as well. So yay for more of that in comic books. I think there's a lot of people who could do with a little bit more of that in their life, if I'm completely honest. But the artwork is still the artwork. And unfortunately, that stopped me like getting really, really into it. Then I got to the end of the story, and there's an actual little mini story at the back. And this one grabbed me straight away. Artwork by Marguerite, I want to say Sauvage. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but her artwork is far more my cup of tea. Look at that! How smooth and defined is all of this. The colouring just glows as well. It's genuinely lovely, and I couldn't help but feel that artwork through the main story would have been a better hit for me. Clearly, is the more talented artist, but they did put the better writer on for the front story. I've forgotten her name, I'm afraid. or Bropter, I think. But yeah, she actually wrote a really, really good story for the first one, whereas the second one didn't quite land as well, but had brilliant artwork. So there's stuff in there that I liked, absolutely there was, but I think because of what it's trying to do, which is appeal to the younger reader, and I'm not that, I think I was always going to struggle a little bit with it because my expectations are going to be more. But if you've got a young kid who's wanting to read some comic books and they've watched the Wonder Woman movie and loved it, and why wouldn't they? It's a great movie, and they're looking forward to the next one. This is a great thing to give them. It's a one-shot comic book. There's no worry about subscriptions or keeping up with stuff coming back in to check what's going on. No worry about continuity or complicated backstories. Just pick it up, enjoy a story about Wonder Woman, kicking some bad guys' ass. And that's brilliant. That's all you need. Right, that's it for me. That's pretty much all I've got to review this week. There's very little else new that's come in. I think maybe a one-shot something or other here and there. But to be honest, I'm going to take Saturday off reviewing this week and hopefully come back next week with some cool and exciting things for you. If you like what we do and you've been enjoying this kind of stuff, and if you've randomly come across this on YouTube because of searching for a review of Wonder Woman, hit the subscribe button. We do these like 3 or 4 times a week, and I always have a lot of fun doing them. Anyway, that's it for me. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.